Hello everybody, this is Llodg, and this is Halo 5 Guardians. Today I am back to talking about how a Halo game holds up with what may be the most controversial Halo game. Okay, maybe not that controversial because most people hate this game, and I haven't played the campaign since it basically came out. I think I played it once on a normal playthrough, and then did a legendary run, and then found all the skulls, and other than playing for a few clips for videos throughout the years, I haven't gone back to see if I really enjoy this game or not. So I replayed it. And I'm not even going to try to hide my real thoughts on the game for further into the video or not. But man, what was this game? I thought 343 did such a good job with Halo 4 that I thought their second full game should be a hit. Well, I guess I should jump into the story for this game. The game starts off with a cutscene of Dr. Halsey going through her lab and working on Cortana, which should probably pull on your heartstrings, since Cortana, you know, died in the last game. Then we cut to a team of Spartan 4s listening to Captain Lasky tell them about their current mission, free Dr. Halsey from Jul 'Mdama. It turns out Halsey has contacted the UNSC about certain attacks and she wants to be freed. Wait, I thought Dr. Halsey was against the UNSC. Why would she want to be put back into their custody? Anyway, it's here we meet Fireteam Osiris, which are made up of all new playable characters. Osiris is made up of a team of Spartan 4s with Agent Llodg, an Oni agent, Holly Tanaka, she was on a planet that was glassed by the Covenant, Olympia Vale, she knows Sangheili and pretty much anything to do with Sangheili culture, and finally Edward Buck, an ODST. Much like Halo 3, if you play co-op, each player will have a separate character and they can even choose which character they want to be, though if you're playing single player like me, you're stuck to using Llodg. Each character does start with their own separate loadout. Llodg will have a battle rifle, Tanaka will have a DMR, Vale will have an SMG, and Buck will have an assault rifle. They all also carry pistols, well except for Vale, she has the plasma pistol. And some of the characters have unique qualities, like Agent Llodg being able to carry 3 grenades. I'm not exactly sure what each character's special abilities are, but they at least all have something. Anyway, Fireteam Osiris jumps into action in what may be the coolest cutscene in the game. We get to see them fly down onto the planet and fight while running down a hill. For first impressions of these characters, I have to say it's pretty good, especially since before this, I feel like Spartan 4s felt lesser compared to the Spartans that we've seen in previous games, but this cutscene really has them seem like they can at least try to go toe-to-toe with them. After stabbing an elite with his energy sword, we finally get to play the game, and the gameplay is mostly the same. You have your basic shooting with different weapons and throwing grenades, but unlike the last 2 Halo games, Spartan abilities have been replaced with thruster abilities. Basically, instead of being able to switch between different abilities, you are stuck with the thruster throughout the whole game, but I have to say I like it a lot. With a thruster, you're able to quickly move in any direction. With sprint returning, you're able to do a Spartan charge, which is like an amped up melee, and finally, if you're in the air and hold the melee button, you'll do a ground pound. Also, it's not a part of the thrusters, but you're able to clamber onto things now. It makes it easier to go up higher walls and removes the need to crouch jump. There's also this new system called the Artemis, which can show you your current waypoint objective and also give your team members orders. If you played Star Wars Republic Commando, then this basically is that exact same system from that game here. And I feel like other than the AI being a bit better, it wasn't expanded upon at all or anything like that. A new mechanic added in for Halo 5 is when you lose your shields and health, instead of instantly dying, you just go down. And if your teammates are still alive, they can revive you. Though they aren't the best at doing it, even if it's the only command they are given. So yeah, a lot of new mechanics for Halo, and most of them aren't brought over into any future games, which is just great. Anyways, you're going through the level, you can see Foreigners fighting against the Storm Covenant, which is weird since in Halo 4, they were all on the same team. I mean, I'm not entirely complaining, as that means we actually have 3 distinct factions, but it's just weird how it isn't explained how or why it changed. And what the heck is that?
Hold position. Buy more time.
Yep, the Covenant has a new weapon, the Kraken, but it doesn't do too much in this mission, it's just kind of there in the background. Eventually we get to Jul's location and see Halsey and him arguing. While he's distracted, Osiris takes out so many elites, and wait, did Llodg just kill Jul 'Mdama in a cutscene? But he was hyped up so much in Spartan Ops. Huh? I didn't even get to do anything. So yeah, despite all of Spartan Up's bringing this guy up to be the next prophet of truth for the Covenant, these Spartan 4s, most of them we had just met by the way, take him out in a cutscene in the first mission. Anyway, after that disappointment, Fireteam Osiris takes Dr. Halsey back to the Infinity, and as she's being taken away by Palmer, Halsey's asking why it took so long to rescue her, and...
What has she done? How far has it already gone?
Good work, Osiris.
What do you think that's about?
I don't know either, Buck. Then we cut to Master Chief feeling the neural implant in his helmet, missing something that has been there for years. But anyway, yeah, Master Chief is actually in this game, and guess what? He's on a mission with Blue Team, the same characters who have been in Halo since before Combat Evolved in the books like Fall of Reach. And man, it's good to see him in a game finally. I can't believe it took almost 15 years for it to actually happen. If you don't know who Blue Team is, it's made up of Master Chief, Fred, Kelly, and Linda. In the books, they all have their own specializations and stuff, but within the game, Kelly has a shotgun, Linda has a sniper, Fred has a DMR, and Master Chief has an assault rifle. Yeah, Blue Team does have some core weapons than Fireteam Osiris, but since I'm in single player, I'm stuck with Master Chief's assault rifle. They are here to investigate a lost Oni station, but while they are here and fighting some hunters, Master Chief falls down and sees Cortana, which is weird since she died in the last game, but whatever. Anyway, it was like a weird vision type of thing, and in that vision, Cortana tells Chief to go to Meridian. So Chief decides that he should say screw his orders, he's going to Meridian to find Cortana. And the rest of the Blue Team decides sure, why not?
They won't court-martial all of us, right?
He tells Infinity he's going to Meridian to find her, but Infinity says they have another team ready to deal with her. But it doesn't matter, they're gonna go anyway. Then we cut back to Fireteam Osiris being that other team, but getting there way too late. Also, fun fact, Meridian was a planet that was glassed by the Covenant. It's cool to see a planet that has been glassed in the past, and not in the process of getting glassed. The mission is pretty cool because we get to see a human colony that is not 100% on board with the UNSC, though they still need help dealing with alien/foreigner threats. Oh, also the mayor of this colony is actually an AI, which is neat. He sounds like he's going into rampancy though, just like Cortana did in Halo 4.
Why so many Spartans here? Why not? I'm unaware of other UNSC agents in our midst, but you have done right by my people so far. Have your look, but make it quick. Governor Sloan, out. I have welcomed you to my home. Do not be so rude as to make my health a point of conversation.
And after a lot of fighting with Forerunners and trying to save the colonists, we make it to Meridian Station. The next mission is actually a new type of mission for Halo, a gun down and walk around mission. I don't think it's actually called that, but it's what I like to think of them as. There are only 3 of these missions, and they consist of you walking around with your gun down. Basically, you just go over and talk to people to continue playing the game. I don't know why they were added, as they really slow down the campaign to a halt, but hey, at least they tried something new, even if it's not great. Anyway, after talking to a lot of colonists who didn't want to talk to us either, we figure out that Blue Team is on Meridian, and Fireteam Osiris goes to find them. Eventually, we make it into the mines and find a lot of Foreigner artifacts.
She calls the Guardians to serve her.
What was that?
Well, let's go find out. We're sitting ducks here.
Agreed. Move!
Your presence in the Guardian's shelter is undesirable.
Are you the Guardian?
I am Warden Eternal. I stand in service to Cortana.
Here we actually have a boss fight, and don't worry, it's not like Halo 4's boss fights. We actually get to shoot and play the game, and Warden Eternal actually has a fair number of attacks, and is a pretty interesting fight. Anyway, we defeat him. Man, he seemed a lot cooler than to be just taken down in one fight. Further in, we find Blue Team and confront them. Though you may be wondering how this team of Spartan 4s have any chance of defeating Spartan 2s, let alone what may be the best team of Spartan 2s in the UNSC. Well, it turns out that Llodg has this device that will restrain any Mjolnir armor. And while the rest of Blue Team goes through the portal that is somehow there even though there shouldn't be a portal there yet, Master Chief and Llodg duel it out. And I know some people don't like this fight, but I think it's fine. And Llodg's punch even cracks Master Chief's faceplate. In a last ditch effort to restrain Chief, Llodg actually gets his own armor restrained, leaving the Master Chief to casually walk through the portal, leaving Fireteam Osiris stranded in this mine. Turns out this Forerunner thing that they are fighting on is a Guardian, and it wakes up and has Fireteam Osiris run for the exit. The Guardian waking up causes the whole planet to evacuate since it's about to jump. This level is pretty cool as it's the only time we ever get a Warthog run in this game, though it's not as cool as CE or 3's, but it's something. Oh, and you also get to fly in a space elevator, which is pretty cool. Fireteam Osiris is able to barely make it to their Pelican, and the Guardian makes a slip space jump. We then learn that there are Guardians on a bunch of planets, and Cortana decided to activate the one on Meridian first for a reason. So the Infinity decides to send Fireteam Osiris to St. Helios to find the Guardian, and get on it before it activates and jumps. But we don't get to go there yet, as we get to play as Master Chief and Blue Team again. They are transported to a Forerunner planet called Genesis. As they are exploring and trying to contact Cortana, they find the Covenant, which for some reason are here. I guess they hopped onto one of the Guardians or something. Eventually we see more Guardians coming in, then we stumble across a ton of dead Covenant soldiers.
Identify yourself.
I am the Warden Eternal. I stand in defense of Cortana.
Oh, it's you again? I thought we already got rid of you. The Warden Eternal tells Blue Team that Cortana is too good for them, and after a lot of taunting, we fight him and defeat him again. Hopefully twice was enough. After defeating the Warden Eternal, Cortana finally makes contact.
Chief, hello?
Cortana.
John, you made it. Oh my... I can't believe you're here.
And honestly, it's really nice to hear Cortana talk to the Master Chief again. After half a game without her talking in our ears, it's nice to hear her back in her old role of guiding us through a level.
The controls to these photons should be fairly intuitive.
As Forerunner systems go.
You'll figure them out.
Cortana leads us to where we want to go, and then we cut back to Fireteam Osiris going into St. Helios. Yep, we can't even get 2 missions with Blue Team back to back in this game. Well, at least we finally get to see the St. Heli home planet in a game after all these years. And I have to say, it's really cool. Seeing all this architecture of these ancient elites is so cool. St. Helios is also in the middle of a civil war, so it's not going to be easy to get to the Arbiter. But I love the setup for this planet. It makes so much sense after their whole race being ingrained within the Covenant and then the schism happening. Like, of course not everyone would want to go one way or the other. It's just so interesting. It's just a little disappointing we already took out the Storm Covenant's leader at the start of the game, but oh well. After fighting through a lot of Covenant, we finally make it to the Arbiter, who is thankfully still voiced by Keith David. We then meet with the Arbiter and tell him we are hunting the Master Chief, then Cortana tries to pull a Prophet of Truth from Halo 3.
Let him hunt. He'll never find us.
So now we have a race towards the Guardian Sunayon, but first we have to do a guns down walk around mission, which just has Halsey tell us what to do and Palmer lead us to a Pelican. Oh yeah, we have to find something to help us find the Guardian or something? I don't know, they should have just gone straight to Sunayon. But hey, at least the Kraken is here again, finally. And we finally get the chance to help the Arbiter take down the Kraken, and it's kind of lame. We kind of just go in and destroy it like in Halo 2 Scarab, but somehow it's less epic. I think only having one possibility of what to do really weakens it. So we destroy it and grab the Constructor. It's another guns down and walk around mission. This is also the last of these missions, so I hope you enjoyed them. They've never returned after this game. Now we finally get the best mission in this game, the Battle of Sunayon. This is such a cool mission because we go deep into the St. Helios Civil War, and this is their last big battle at one of the most important St. Helios cities. We also get to fight side by side by the Arbiter, and he's gone. Yeah, it probably would have just been confusing if we fought elites against elites, who look very similar, but it's still a shame that he's just in our ear the entire mission. After a really cool fight through the city, we finally make it to the Guardian, and hey, the Arbiter is even here.
I'm the Warden Eternal. I stand in defense of
We don't have time to discuss it. Take him out, Osiris.
Oh come on, not you again. How many times do we need to teach you this lesson? He's not even changing the encounter each time. It's the same fight over and over again. Anyway, we beat him. Hopefully the third time's the charm. Palmer helps us get onto the Guardian before it leaves, and this cutscene is the only cool thing she does throughout the campaign. I hope you guys enjoyed our time here. So now in the Guardian, Fireteam Osiris jumps with it onto Genesis. Here we get one of the coolest sections in the game. We have to run down the Guardian. The momentum in this section is just so cool with you shooting enemies as you run past them. Also, seeing the world from this sideways perspective is so cool. It really gives you a nice scale for how big the Guardians are. On the ground, we try to make contact with Blue Team and we meet the monitor of Genesis, Exuberant Witness. She's pretty cool and is against everything that Cortana is doing since she is the monitor of this installation. After finding through a lot of Covenant who just happen to be near Guardians to come here, you make it to the gateway.
I have misjudged you lot.
Oh come on, we just fought you. At least they tried to switch things up by having you fight two at the same time, but for real, this is getting old. Okay, so we defeat them, and I'm not even gonna act like this is the last time we see Warren Eternal anymore. So we continue on and find Blue Team, and before we can figure out how to do anything to stop Cortana, Cortana teleports Blue Team away. Now we are on to Blue Team's final level. That's right, there's only 3 levels playing as Blue Team. Halo 5 has so many levels, but let's only give Blue Team 3 of them. Anyway, we go through with Warren Eternal taunting us and telling us Cortana shouldn't trust us and blah blah blah.
They will disperse your guardians.
Leave, Warden!
Oh, thanks Cortana, that was really helpful. Here we learn about Cortana's plan, basically to send the Guardians from here throughout the galaxy to police them. This is how Cortana is going to achieve peace throughout the galaxy. Anyway, Blue Team is going to stop her from doing that, which also means that the Warring Eternal was 100% right. And oh great, another Warring Eternal fight.
I will not allow them to get any closer
Warden,
to
I'm
you.
tired of your antics! Stand down!
Okay, once again, thank you Cortana, you saved us from having to fight them again, in what may be one of my favorite moments in this game. After fighting through loads of Prometheans, we have another Warden fight, and Cortana can get rid of all but 3 of them. And this fight is actually pretty hard. I mean, I went down a lot, and oh look, they never patched us out of the game. Yeah, you can just skip that whole fight, one of my favorite skips in Halo. Warden Eternal tries one more attack against Blue Team, sending out dozens of copies of himself. Everyone's worst nightmare. Wait, could she do that the entire time? Anyway, she disintegrates the Warren Eternal, and we never see him again. Master Chief tries to get Cortana to listen to reason, but she just won't and decides the best course of action is to trap Blue Team inside of a cryptum until her work is done, which is going to be like hundreds of years or something, which is like a crazy long time, and should have told Cortana that this wasn't the way it should be, but whatever. Also, if I cared more about the story, I would think this would be a really emotional moment, like I can see what they wanted it to be, but I just don't think it lands like they wanted it to. I do like the effort they put into it, like I don't completely hate this cutscene. Cortana seems genuinely hurt Chief won't stand by her, and I really like the hand Chief tries to give Cortana. Maybe in another timeline this was set up much better, and the cutscene really could have shined, but here it's just fine. And now we are on to the final level of Halo 5. Fireteam Osiris must rescue Blue Team and stop Cortana from releasing her Guardians throughout the galaxy. So we go around, and with Exuberant Witness's help, we destroy the grav cores, so we can get up to where Blue Team is. But while we are doing it, Cortana taunts us and tries to get us to stop.
Keep up the pressure, Spartans.
Spartans! Ah!
We also learn that Cortana has gotten countless numbers of other human AI to join her, including Governor Sloan, which adds up considering how he helped the Blue Team, but hindered Osiris earlier in the game.
Who will accept my offer? Who will help me bring an everlasting peace to the galaxy?
This is Cromwell, shipboard AI, UNSC Melbourne's Pride. I am yours, Cortana.
Colonial Authority AI.
Governor Sloan, the free people of Meridian. I also stand with you, Cortana.
Those are the voices of your children calling to Cortana.
Lycus, shipboard AI, verdant simulator, space
My allegiance is to I stand with you, Cortana.
Most of the AI likely joined Cortana to gain the immortality that Cortana seems to have, a cure from the timer of rampancy that they all currently have. Eventually we destroy all the grav cores and make our way closer to the goal. After finding a ton of enemies, Cortana makes an announcement.
Humanity. Sanghili.
What does she want now?
Kikyar. Ongoy.
She's not talking to us. Exuberant, get us to the relay.
Sanshayun. Yunhet.
Almost done.
Jural Hanai. All the living creatures of the galaxy, hear this message.
Huh, so that's how you pronounce the brute species name. Well, it only took 11 years for them to put into the game. Also, it's weird they talk about the brutes despite them once again not being present in this game, though it would have been weird if they weren't mentioned. After fighting so many enemies, we make it down to the relay, and one of us has to break the core before Cortana can leave.
Keep moving.
My guardians are deployed.
Another pulse.
Soon peace will reign across the known galaxy.
Brace yourselves!
Hold on!
Keep moving. Almost there.
Stay behind me.
There! The relay! Destroy it!
Just one more question before I go. Where's the Infinity? Why is she so difficult to see?
Yep, all you have to do here is walk. You don't even have to press anything.
Slip space coordinates locked in. Cryptum secure. Goodbye, Mr. Llodg.
But with that, Exuberant Witness gains control.
What instructors? This is a builder facility after all. I was installed by the builders. I serve the builders.
No! Stop it!
You took my installation. I will take something of yours.
Yep, right as Cortana was about to leave, we took Blue Team's Cryptum right out of her grasp and freed Blue Team. And this is the end of the game. It ends on a cliffhanger with all of our playable characters returning to St. Helios with Dr. Halsey and the Arbiter to figure out what to do next. But we don't see that. We don't even see Master Chief talk with the Arbiter. We also see Cortana start to enact her plan, and we see what the Guardians are able to do, which seems to be EMPing all technology. But the Infinity is able to make random jumps to stay out of Cortana's grasp, but yeah, that's it. A cliffhanger, which is just great. I honestly don't even know what to say here. Like, this wasn't where Halo 4's ending was heading towards, right? Like, okay, Halo 4 in itself didn't have too much of a blueprint of where to immediately go into the next game, but like, we had Spartan Ops with their characters and stories, but no, we had to immediately cool off Joel Mandama, you know, an interesting villain. We also could have had an interesting story about Dr. Halsey being against the UNSC, but instead we got Cortana resurrecting and being evil, somehow. The weird thing is that I didn't even realize until writing this script was that Osiris wasn't even going in to save Halsey for any reason other than that she knew Cortana was up to something, and everyone on the Infinity knows that, which is weird. Like, I always thought Halsey was afraid in the scene because of Palmer, because of what she accidentally did in Spartan Ops, but she's talking about Cortana. I don't think it's terrible that we have the player don't know what's happening, but it would have hit much harder if we had played more than 3 levels as the people going against the UNSC, and part of the reason they are going against them is that they are being kept in the dark, but no, they just like to keep the player in the dark. Now, I'm not 100% against Cortana being a villain if it was done well and made sense, but I don't think it was done well here. It just seems like Cortana came back, somehow. I know in the lore now she was in like the domain, but it could have been so many more interesting things, like a logic plague or something, or even had the Didact be the one controlling her to taunt the Master Chief. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about the Didact because at the end of Halo 4, he didn't actually die. He can't be composed or something weird like that, but instead of using him in the game, we had a whole comic where Blue Team fought him and killed him by composing him. I thought the Didact couldn't be killed by being composed. Oh well, he's not in this game, even though he had some pretty cool concept art designs, but concept art doesn't mean he was actually going to be in the game. An artist just did a bunch of ideas, but he would have been cool to be in the game anyway. It would have been so much more interesting. At least we're still getting one last book about the Didact. They freaking had so many villains that could have been the main villain of this game, but no, just use Cortana. At least we got an interesting story involving the Arbiter, even though he was barely in it. The Sangheili Civil War is so interesting, and I wish it was the main focus of this game, or even any game. I mean, we even hear about the Didact's hand being an open rebellion, but we don't see any of that in the game. It just feels like the exact same Covenant that we saw in Halo 4, and it's super lame. Okay, now I should talk about the characters, because there are a ton of them in this game, and I don't care about most of them. First, Blue Team. It's cool that we finally see Blue Team in the game, but with only 3 levels, we really don't get much time for any of them to really shine. It's honestly a shame because they've been in Halo canon since before Combat Evolved, and this being their one and only game appearance is really lame. But it did remind me that Kelly has a British accent, so nice attention to detail.
Whoever they are, let's get to Meridian before they do.
Also, I wish Halo 5 was much more split evenly like Halo 2 was. Like, we got a couple missions as the Master Chief, then a couple missions as the Arbiter. But in this game, it's just a Fireteam Osiris game with a bit of Master Chief, and it's really lame. Now, Fireteam Osiris, which is made up of mostly new characters. Almost all of them haven't even been in a game before, or since. But hey, for Llodg, we got a whole live action series called Nightfall that followed one of his missions. And just like that show, he's pretty basic here. Vale and Tanaka got comics, I'm pretty sure. Vale was also in a recent book, which is cool, but like, I barely know who they are. Other than Elites and Tanaka being from a glass planet, which is pretty interesting, but they really don't do anything with that despite us going to a planet that's been glassed. I don't know anything about these characters. They just feel like they're there. I'm not even sure how these characters are even supposed to know each other. They feel like they're supposed to be this fire team that's been working together for a while, but we really have no idea if they have been. We get a few speeches that try to make it seem like they're all buddy-buddy, but I just don't think any of those speeches work here. These are new characters, and we need time to make sure that we can really care about them. Like in Halo 2 with the Arbiter, we were thrown into caring about him because he was accused of heresy, and we had a lot of missions dedicated to him and his eventual betrayal from his people. We got a story that focused on the Arbiter. Halo 5 could have been about any Spartan 4 team, and literally nothing would have changed. Their backgrounds ultimately do not matter to the story, unlike what we've seen work with previous Halo games. And Reach actually had a whole new cast of characters, but people still love Noble Team. And they don't really do anything all that special, but they feel like a real team. It probably works because Noble 6 is new to the team, but everyone else already knows each other. It also probably helps that Noble Team's story is just so tragic and works into the writing of everyone dying. We don't know them, and now never will. The only character that I really cared about in Fireteam Osiris is Buck, and that's because we've seen him in the whole previous game with him, and seen him on Reach. And he actually has some pretty funny lines throughout the game.
If you could clear out the land between where you are and town.
Of course, Governor.
Wow, pretty quick turnaround from get off my planet to, hey, can you help?
However, for those who refuse our offer and cling to their own ways.
Well, now she's talking about us.
Like, the other characters are fine, but there's a reason that they haven't had any fans clamoring to get them into the next Halo game. Also, fun fact, I think early in development, Buck was originally going to be Thorn from Spartan Ops, but obviously Buck is cooler, but it would have been cool to see Thorn again. Unless I'm forgetting anyone, I don't think there are any new characters within the UNSC that aren't a part of a fire team. It's nice to see Halsey in a mainline Halo game for more than a couple scenes. She doesn't do much, but still, it's nice to see her. Lasky is also pretty cool, but he doesn't do anything. Plumber has like one cool scene, and then it's just gone from the rest of the game. Man, they really just wanted to have these characters in this game, and just not do anything with them, huh? Here's where I'll talk about the main villains of the Storm Covenant, if there were any. They killed the main bad guy in the first mission, and despite there being a civil war, there was no head figure at the time to have us go against and hate. We've already done it before we even knew there was a civil war. The Covenant really shouldn't have been in this game other than those few missions on St. Helios. This is one of the only Halo games that actually has the Covenant be enemies in the final mission. You know, on Genesis, where they really shouldn't be, but they throw in a line of,
The Guardian slip space bubbles are bringing a considerable amount of rubbish from their origin planets.
Somebody ought to tell these guys they already lost the war.
because they must have thought the foreigners weren't fun to fight against. Off the top of my head, the only game that has 3 factions that has both the Covenant and the 3rd faction in the final level is Combat Evolved, but it makes sense since they're all basically stuck on that Halo ring, and the human ship is very important to everyone there. Okay, on to the Forerunners. Morian Eternal is here? I honestly have no idea why he's on Cortana's side. I would think he wouldn't be, but he is. I even tweeted at him Xperia to try and figure out what his deal is, but he never answered. Most likely because even he has no idea what's up with the Morian Eternal. And why did we have to fight him so many times? He has such a cool scene in Reunion, but it doesn't work because we just fought him. This would have been cooler if we hadn't fought him a billion times. I have no clue what else I can say about Cortana, but she's here and got so many AI to join her. I still have no idea why Roland didn't join her. Like, does he not realize his own mortality yet? Did Cortana corrupt all these other AI to join her? Like, Governor Sloan makes sense as to why he joined her, because he's already failing. But since we don't see any of these other countless AI, it doesn't make sense as to why Roland wouldn't join her. Exuberant Witness honestly blew my expectations out of the water. I didn't expect to love her as much as I did. She was like a 3 for 3 Guilty Spark was nice. I really liked her gaining back control of Genesis. She's another character that I wish we got more time with because of the little we do see of her, she's great. She also has a line that I'm not sure if it's a throwback to Guilty Spark's Halo 3 quote, but it's so close that I hope it is because I love quoting Guilty Spark.
She has sealed my doors. No, unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
And before I get off of talking about story stuff, I think I need to bring up the marketing of this game, because this is the first mainline Halo game that I was actually present for all the marketing. So the marketing basically had Chief go AWOL from the UNSC, something that does happen in Halo 5, except the reasons seem to be different. Like in Halo 5, it just kind of happens, and I get that they tried to make it seem like the UNSC were going behind Chief's back, but it's just not focused on at all, to the point where I basically missed it until I was rewatching cutscenes to specifically write a script for it. Also, the marketing felt like they were hyping up this Chief versus Llodg thing, and then the game just has one fight with them, and the next time they see each other, they are all just buddy-buddy. Also, the game felt like it was catering to the marketing instead of the other way around. Like, oh, the Master Chief has a crack on his visor in the trailer, well, I guess we'll have to add a moment where his visor cracks. And in the marketing, they actually changed some missions, like in this E3 2015 demo of the Battle of Sunayon. It's actually very different to the final game. Like, they actually said Chief was at Sunayon, you can even see his assault rifle in the demo. But in the game, he never even thinks about going to St. Helios. I really enjoyed the first season of Hunt the Truth, but now it just feels so weird to think about. Halo 5's story is so different from Hunt the Truth that it feels like we're talking about two different things when discussing Halo 5's marketing and Halo 5 the game. Okay, that's enough talking about the story and characters. Now we can move on to something I actually quite enjoy about this game, the gameplay. They basically turned the thruster move from Halo 4 into the main gameplay mechanic of the game, and I really enjoy it. It makes combat flow a lot faster, and even gives you a lot more moves at your disposal. Though it doesn't really change the game too much, you can hit enemies harder now, though I do love dropping down to do a ground pound. That will always feel amazing. Also, I'm surprised that out of all the equipment, Thruster's been the one to survive 4 Halo games. Technically you had the dodge roll and reach, but it works similar to the thrusters that I'm counting it. The levels are fairly linear, which is a shame because there really aren't any open areas like previous games, but they do try to make some diverging paths that can be accessed if you shoulder charge. But most of the time they just lead the weapon caches and don't give you anything else cool, which is sad. I do like the idea of having your fire team with you even if you're playing alone, and despite what you might think, this doesn't make the game easier. Now I don't think Halo 5 is a hard game, especially compared to Halo 2, but this game is kind of difficult because your allies never pick you up. Like, please Tanaka, take the time out of your day to come over here and pick me up so we don't lose the mission. Now your friends can also go down and you can pick them up, but if you don't, you lose them for a bit, but I'm not sure when they come back. Sometimes they suddenly show up out of nowhere. Most of the weapons from Halo 4 return in this game, well except for the remote detonator, you will be missed. A lot of the weapons are changed visually, you know, like Halo has always done. One of the most obvious changes was the battle rifle, which now has these horns. Oh yeah, every weapon now has something called Smart Link, which lets you zoom in with literally every weapon. And oh, it's actually beneficial to zoom in, so you should be doing it more than you aren't. I'm not totally against it, I just think it's a weird addition. Also, the most notorious change was the rocket launcher getting a complete redesign. Yep, the iconic weapon that has been in the game since 2001 got a redesign. And it's fine. Obviously I prefer the Spanker, but this isn't the worst thing ever done. The classic rocket launcher actually got added into Halo 5's multiplayer, but was never added into the campaign sadly. I do like how the Smart Link actually changes how the guns zoom in, like all the Forerunner weapons change shape, and it's genuinely my favorite thing ever. Therefore they also took the time to make the Forerunner weapons more different to their UNSC counterparts. Now they actually feel different. I really like how the bullet shot is a 3-round burst. I also liked using the scout shot in this game a whole lot more. They also changed the pulse grenades into the splinter grenades. I've grown to like the pulse grenades from Halo 4, but I also really like the splinter grenades, especially since it can EMP vehicles. My favorite new weapons has to be the Plasma Caster and the Hydra. Both are similar, but the Plasma Caster allows you to shoot plasma grenades, either one at a time or in a big cluster, to really do some damage. The Hydra is able to lock onto enemies and shoot them with missiles, which I really like. And my favorite weapon throughout Halo 5 has to be the Carbine and DMR. I just love how they play, they feel so nice to headshot enemies. And this game actually has my favorite Carbine in all of Halo. They've also added variants in some of the weapons in this game, like Linda's sniper rifle Norfang, which in multiplayer is a really powerful sniper, though it's obviously weaker in the campaign, which is a shame. There are a few of these better weapons throughout the campaign, but they are few and far between. Also, no new weapons that were added into Halo 5's multiplayer were ever added into the campaign, which is a big shame. Sadly, after Halo 4, the assault rifle does not sound as amazing as it did in that game. And they changed the Kneeler design, which is just a bad move. Also, vehicles return with some being retooled like the Mantis having lock-on now. As far as I know, the only new vehicle in this game is the first and only Forerunner weapon we have in the series with the Phaeton. It's like a Hornet from Halo 3, but with a boost and only carries one driver. It does have a cool get-in animation though. There are also a few Ultra vehicles, which are just powered up silver vehicles that are pretty cool. I'm pretty sure the only ones we see in this game are the Ghost and Wraith, but still pretty cool. Now for the greatest new addition, you can press the jump button to switch seats in any vehicle with multiple seats. Okay, maybe this is more helpful for someone like me with no friends, but I'm glad it's in this game and became a mainstay for the series. It makes using Warthogs so much more manageable. Can you imagine that I almost forgot to talk about the enemies? Because they're just kind of there in Halo 5. Everyone from Halo 4 returns, and we have one new addition with the Forerunner soldiers. They kind of act as the elites of the Forerunners and took the Knights' place. So the Knights now act more like hunters where you have to hit them in specific places if you want to do a lot of damage, and it's pretty cool. But overall, I feel like the unity the Forerunners had in 4 is just gone in this game. I don't know, the enemy design just isn't great overall, especially for the Forerunners. While at least the soldiers can actually use vehicles this time around. Also, this is the last game with the Prometheans. I wish they were a bit better, but I'm still sad to see them go. They could have been really cool enemies. The Covenant have had one change that I really like. The hunters can't be stuck from the front, and now bounces off their shields. Also, there are collectibles throughout the level, with different skulls obviously returning, but now instead of terminals, there are tons of data pads thrown about the levels, where you can listen to them in audio form. The data pads are the only collectibles you can find in Guns Down Walk Around missions, so if you're going for skulls, you can skip those missions. Talking about the Guns Down Walk Around missions, you can find a lot of funny little Easter eggs thrown in here. Honestly, a lot of the missions have them, but I specifically remember the soccer ball on Meridian's level. Okay, now I'll talk about the graphics and overall look of this game. I think the game looks fine overall. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the art style of this game, but in Halo 4, I liked it, but something about Halo 5 just makes me not like it as much. I think a lot of the texturing and materials just don't look great in this game. A lot of it makes the game look like toys. I was a big fan of Master Chief's armor in 4, but here it just looks like plastic to me. Now in the pre-rendered cutscenes it actually looks pretty good, but in game it just doesn't look all that great. I think it's missing the darker greens but shininess that was present in Halo 4. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of how characters look in this game. Like, I think Blue Team is fine. I actually really like Kelly's armor design, and even if Linda's helmet is a bit on the nose for a sniper, I still really like it. Fireteam Osiris' designs are just fine in my opinion. I actually do like Locke's design a lot, but Veil is just okay. And I barely even register that Tanaka's armor is something different from the basic default armor design. I do like that they had Buck keep his ODST helmet though. It would have been weird if he didn't have it. Now, the Arbiter has had a different armor design for every appearance in every game he's appeared in, and I really like his armor here. He looks really good in gold, and the design of the armor is just really cool in my opinion. Also, in some of the concept art, he had a cape, and I really wish we had that in the final game. Capes are just so cool with armor under them. And I really like that he has his own type of energy sword with a Prophet's Bane. First, the name is really cool, and I just love the deep orange and how it's much bigger than the other energy swords. I think it's really nice that characters get their own distinct weapons. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of Cortana's design in this game. With 4 being the first campaign that I played on my own, I'm really attached to the designs there. And I think Cortana looked really good. Her motion capture on her face was just perfect. But in Halo 5, I don't know, something just looks off. I do like her outfit though, I think it makes her look more powerful. But yeah, something about her face just doesn't look right to me. Honestly, I thought the faces were hit or miss. Like, Bucks looks exactly like Nathan Fillion to me, but Vale didn't really look like her voice actress Laura Bailey at all, which is weird. Maybe it's because I've seen her a lot more that I can tell that she's different, but I also feel like I've seen Nathan Fillion a lot to know what he'd look like. Maybe brought in the big bucks for this game, so they gave him a better motion capture. The Guardians have a pretty cool overall design, but I'm not the biggest fan of the face. It just looks a little goofy, but I can't deny how menacing they look just floating in the air. If you've seen my other videos, you know I love to talk about the skyboxes, and Halo 5s are hit or miss. I really like some of them. I love the deep colors that they use, and they kind of look really good compared to the rest of the game. But some of them just look terrible, like in the last Blue Team mission. I don't even know what I'm looking at, this just looks low res. I don't know, I think some of the skyboxes are really nice, even if there isn't a Halo ring in the sky for you to look at. Okay, and now onto the music, and I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of the music, and I haven't listened to the soundtrack too much. It's actually my least listened to soundtrack out of all the Halo games so far, but while playing the game, I actually really enjoyed a fair number of the tracks, the Trials being one of my personal favorites since the game has come out. But Blue Team is also really good. It's reminiscent of 117 from Halo 4. The whole soundtrack sounds like a movie soundtrack rather than a specific Halo one, but I still really enjoy it. There are moments where it sounds definitively Halo to me, and that's what matters. A lot of the sound effects in this game sound very game-like. In Halo 4 they went for a more realistic military sound design, but in this game a lot of them just sound so much like a game and not very memorable. When you get a headshot there's this popping noise. The voice acting in this game is really good. Despite the script being less than great, the voice actors do a really amazing job. I love how everyone comes back: Steve Downes, Jen Taylor, Keith David, even Nathan Fillion. This is like an all-star cast for Halo, and I think everyone does a great job. I'm already a fan of Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham, and I think they do well, but nothing special from them as Vale and Fred, sadly. There weren't a lot of one-liners in this game.
Negative infinity.
Okay, I meant good one-liners. But there was one standout section, that being the Arbiter's speech.
Hunt them to the last. The day we extinguish the Covenant's light.
Also, the dialogue in this game is a bit weird. There were multiple instances of characters giving exposition and then being cut off at the end of the level. Like, was I going too fast, or...
After the crash here, I didn't think I'd see...
Okay, now onto the little things I really liked. I really like how this game feels like a callback to previous games, like Master Chief's vision in the second mission feels like a callback to those Cortana moments in Halo 3, or the enemies caged in the last mission being like Halo 2's last mission. I'm not sure if they meant it, but I really like it. I also really like how they gave us female elites in this game, like it was bound to happen eventually, and I have to give Halo 5 credit for doing it, especially since it's the only game to have it.
Arbiter's victories and the death of Jewel and Dama.
Also, something I'm a little disappointed about is when a character is talking. In Halo 4, there were multiple instances of you seeing Cortana visually talking, kind of like it's Metal Gear Solid, and it was a nice visual, and there was a couple points where they just put like the name of who's speaking so you know, but no visuals. But in Halo 5, it's only that, and it's really lame. I think it would have been nice to see Cortana talk to you, especially when you first see her in Blue Team's second mission. It could have been a nice instance of, oh yeah, this is who we're talking with. The hunters are really cool and kind of creepy in this game. Like, you can see the Legolo worms actually moving and forming hunter bodies, which is so cool. I also love this grunt chant to soothe the Guardian. It's such a cool lore and world building moment. I just love it so much. I really like the dichotomy between Blue Team always keeping their helmets on and Fireteam Osiris taking them off. I think it's nice to see Spartan 2s always having their helmets on like we've seen with Chief. I like how Cortana will always refer to Llodg as Mr. Llodg instead of Agent Llodg. It's just a little thing, but I think it's kind of funny.
I wouldn't ally myself too closely with Dr. Halsey, Mr. Llodg.
Now, I did a poll to see what you guys thought about Halo 5's campaign, and yeah, this is about what I expected, though a few more voted that they liked the game than I would have thought. And yeah, Halo 5 Guardians is definitely a game. Not a great one, but not totally terrible. There are a lot of little things to like about this game, but the weird story just makes me not enjoy this game as much as I wish I could. Cortana being the main villain is so weird, especially after she died in the last game. We have no good reason as to how her resurrection happened, and it's super unsatisfying. Master Chief only being in it for 3 levels is such a weird choice. I almost wish they didn't have him in any and have it be a mystery as to what he's up to and why he went AWOL for us to figure out. They could have even released DLC to have these missions be playable with Chief and Blue Team, but oh well. We didn't even get any Spartan Ops in this game, despite desperately needing it, unlike Halo 4. Like, come on, why end it on a cliffhanger if you're not going to immediately jump in and have more missions for us to play? But yeah, those were my overall thoughts on Halo 5, and man, I had a lot of them. Let me know what your thoughts on Halo 5 are. I'd love to hear it if you'd enjoyed the game, but even if you didn't enjoy the game, please let me know. I love hearing people's thoughts on these games, especially when it's different opinions to mine. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, have a good day, and goodbye!